So guys, today we're going to be learning how to get your full body measurement for any dress. With these measurements, you can get any dress made. You don't have to be there. Once you provide the measurement, you can give it to your seamstress, your tailor, your designer, anywhere, and you can get it made to your fit. So first, grab a measurement tape in inches, cm, and let's get started. So these are the measurements that we'll be taking note of, so you can also screenshot it and get your own measurement. First, you will determine the dress you're trying to get made. The neckline, if it's a V neckline, turtleneck, off shoulder, you determine that, and we'll get started. So we'll be measuring the shoulders. So if you're getting a V-neck, you will need the shoulder to shoulder for any dress, typically. So the shoulder to shoulder measurement, it's like this. So you see that you measure it across back, like this. And you take note of it. If you're trying to get an off-shoulder dress, this is how you measure the off-shoulder measurements. You have it like this, and then you measure it. So you place it like this, and make sure you're comfortable, but it's not too loose. Just comfort, but not loose. Yes. So this is how you measure your off shoulder. Next, you measure one shoulder, and this is how you do it. You place it like this, and you measure it where your shoulder ends, right here. If you have a collarbone, you could use that as a reference. So from here to here, you measure it. So next is your neck. If you're getting a turtleneck dress, you need your neck circumference. So when you're measuring this, make sure you're comfortable with the measurement, and it's not too tight, and you can breathe. So this is okay, and then you take note of that. See that? Do like this. You take note of it. Next, you measure the choker neck. How wide do you want the turtleneck to be? So however wide it is, you measure it, and also be conscious of this, so you can move in it. If the fabric is not soft like this, then you have to make it to just stop right here, so that it doesn't keep hitting your jaw each time you move. So take note of that while getting your choker height measurement. The next thing we're going to be measuring is the chest. So we'll measure the chest, underbust, waist, hip, knee. So let's start with the chest. For the chest measurements, or any measurement, you need to stand in front of a mirror. This will help you make sure that the tape is circling or around the right area and properly. So this is it. You see, it's on my chest level. So you breathe in and breathe out and make sure you're comfortable. Then you take note of the measurements. This is where it ends. You take note of it. Now we're getting the underbust measurement. So for the underbust, directly under the bust, where the bust ends. So that's the underbust measurement. This particular measurement is usually needed if you're making like a corset top, a corset dress, or something that has to emphasize the waistline and the bust. So the designer will need your underbust circumference. So this is how you measure it. Place it like this and make sure you can breathe. And then if you want it tighter, if you feel like breathing is overrated, you could make it as tight as possible. But this place has the bone, so you don't want it to be too tight. Otherwise it will be so uncomfortable. So yeah, this is okay. So next is your waist measurement. This is how you measure it. You can make it tighter, you can make it more free, depending on what you are going for, and the waistline. Then next is your hip your hips measurement. And this is how you measure it. The widest part of your back and side. So you make sure that the tape can get past this easily but not loosely. Easily but not loosely. It's fitted, but you know, it could get past my hips. So that means when I move around in the dress, it's not going to rip. So we've gotten the chest, underbust, waist, and hips. So now we're going to be getting the bust line, underbust line, waistline, hip line, and knee line. So because everybody's torso is built different. Some people have longer torso, some people have shorter torso. This is why this measurement is needed. So the shoulder will be the reference. We'll have it right here, the shoulder. And you go like this. So you stand in front of a mirror and look at where your bust peaks. That's where your bust line is. So you take note of that. Bust line measurements here. Under bust line measurements is here. See it? Here. Where the bust ends, where the curve of the bust ends. Yeah, this will help. Right here. So waistline is here. So this is a trick to get the perfect waistline mark. When you do like this, you see where the reference is, you take note of it. So this is a perfect waistline mark. See that? Right here. So you take note of it. So this is the waistline. Yeah. From shoulder, waistline, which is here. It's right here. Now the hip line, where your hips, where you look the widest in the front. So your hip level, that's the hip line. You take note of it. Let me take. Remember, the reference is the shoulder. Don't move it. The hip line is right here for me. Some people may not have obvious hips, but they have obvious backside. So where your back peaks could also be a reference for your hip line. So right here is the hip line, and you take note of it. And next is the knee line. Okay, before I go to the knee line, usually if you're trying to get like a mini dress and you don't want it to be too mini, the perfect mini length dress is this. When you place your arm like this, where your middle finger stops is a perfect mini dress length right here. So if you're trying to get a mini dress, this is the perfect mini dress length. Where your palm, right here. So you take note of it. That's a trick. So yes, if you're trying to do a risky mini dress, where your thumb stops, that's where it is. That's a risky mini dress. So that's the trick. So next we'll go to the knee line. The knee line is needed if you're making a mermaid dress, and the designer will need to know your knee mark, where you want the dress to stop. We're measuring the full dress length. So shoulder to where the dress, can you see me? To where from your shoulder, still the shoulder as a reference, to where the dress falls on the floor. Make sure you include the heel heights, the height of your heel if you're going to be wearing the dress with a heel, or with heels. So the measurements where the thing drops on the floor, you include that for your dress length. So next we'll be measuring the arm. So for the arm, we need these measurements: armhole, bicep, wrists, and sleeve length. So first, the armhole. You don't have to do it like this, but you know, this is helpful. So the armhole, measure it like this. The armhole, you want it to be comfortable, and you also you don't want it to be too loose. So this is just right. You see it? Then you take note of the measurements. Now you go to the bicep and you measure. You want it to be comfortable, where you can flex your muscle and it's not too tight. So you take note of the measurement. Next is your wrist. So for your wrist measurement, to put in mind, if the outfit you're making, if the fabric is stretchy, if it's stretchy, then you can afford to make it fitted like this. But if it's like a suit where it's not stretchy, then you need to make it free so that you can take it off. So you need about 1.5 to 2 inches added to your actual wrist measurements so you can take it off. But so that's about it for the arm. Then your sleeve length. For the sleeve length, measure from, see it, from the junction of the shoulder and the arm. Measure it to where your arm stops. You can see it. So 23 for me. 23 and a half. So that's for me. So you can look at it and make reference to yours. So one more thing, if you're someone who has a very, very defined backside, then you need this measurement. For the back, you need your back waistline, where it stops before the booty. So yes, from the shoulder to your waistline. So you include your back waistline, from shoulder to back waistline, and then that will help. So that's about it. You can leave a comment on the next measurement tip or measurement tutorial you guys will want me to do. So that's about it for today. With these measurements, you can get any dress made. I will include a template of the measurement requirements, the things you need, and at the end of the video. Bye guys.